Here's what I'm exploring today. This is also labeled Pequop Summit, and it's mile 300 and something on I-40 between Elko, Nevada and the Nevada-Utah state line. So it looks like there's a dirt road here, and I'm gonna go ahead and follow that for a ways, and if it looks like there's an interesting place to turn off, I'll go ahead and turn off, maybe try to get up to those hills over there. Nice. The sign kind of indicates Wendover that way, but that's facing this direction. So if I was coming from where I currently am or where they're coming or going to at this point, Wendover would be hopping onto the expressway and continuing east. I imagine that this road probably was the old route to Wendover, and I bet it has some really interesting history along it. Don't know if I'm gonna go far enough to discover much, if any of it. Here's a little more information here. Not far at all, of course, so far. This is definitely gonna be more of a hike slash walk, not a run. Partially just because I didn't come prepared on this trip with even so much as a pair of shorts, and it is hot today. I'm gonna go out about half an hour, so it's 2:11 p.m. right now. I'm gonna go half an hour, turn back. Not looking for it to be a super long excursion, and it looks like it's gonna get interesting already just right here. So I'll have to make a decision here. I don't know what this is. There's no signage. Don't know if it's private property, if it's gated to keep out animals. What I'm gonna assume is that if the gate's locked, it's private property. If it's just held in place with a little clip, probably just that there are animals, probably livestock, that are supposed to be contained here. This is obviously pretty not meant to keep people from entering. It's meant to keep animals from exiting. For that reason, it needs to be relocked or needs to be reattached. There's no lock though, so I'm going to assume this is still public property. There's no signage saying otherwise. Here's our first sign of anything man-made out here. Maybe the top of a well, probably. CP81. It says, observation monitoring well, do not fill. Interesting. Well, it looks like the scenery ahead is going to get really pretty really fast, so that's cool. And I'll keep turning the camera on occasionally when there are interesting changes of scenery. Just one thing to note here, when you're on the road, just driving this really quarter of a mile, if even that at this point, then finding a spot to pull off like this, where it's going to be dark and quiet for the most part, makes all the difference in getting a good night's sleep versus stopping at the rest stop, which is only a quarter of a mile away. So very much worth it whenever possible. luscious plants here. And the road seems to be angling back towards the expressway, which is not what I hoped it would do, but that's okay. It probably follows this course for a similar reason as the expressway follows this course. In that the natural lay of the land suggested it in some way. But actually this should be kind of interesting because I see that there's a big embankment up to the expressway, and I don't think this road's going to climb like that, so it must either go alongside at a lower level, or maybe it turns back in towards that valley over there. I could see either happening. It will be interesting to find out what it does. So as I kind of suspected, there's the expressway up here, and this does make kind of a U-turn back down into the valley over here. And I'm not that far into the walk as far as the timing that I gave myself. Probably got at least 2/3 of it yet ahead of me, so it's gonna be cool to see how far it gets down here and what it's like. Only got about 70 minutes left, or 7 minutes left in this walk. And what I'm seeing that's interesting here is this evidence that this was a paved road at one point. So that's interesting because I never would have guessed it had I not noticed the remnants. It's also interesting just to think how quickly human-made things, human improvements disappear and change in time. I have no idea how long ago this was paved, how long it took for it to become essentially unpaved, how much of a paved base is actually still here under what appears to just be gravel. All really fascinating questions. What road this was, if this was maybe part of the original Lincoln Highway, because I am on I-40 right now, which is the replacement for the Lincoln Highway, that Lincoln Highway was built, I think, around 1913, and it connected New York City to, I believe, San Francisco. Maybe it was LA, but I believe San Francisco. And that's quite incredible to think that it was the first cross-country highway, the very first transnational highway, and that's really cool. And I might be walking on it right now. I don't think that it was paved in its first iteration, and I believe that it was replaced. I'm not sure, I read a sign about it last night and I don't remember, maybe around the 1950s, was replaced by, I'm sorry, I'm not on I-40, I'm on I-80, which was US 40. US 40 replaced the Lincoln Highway, and then I-80 replaced US 40. I almost regret to say that I have hit that 30-minute mark. I feel like even though the topography is not changing that much, I could continue walking down this road almost indefinitely and stay interested. It definitely seems to be running essentially parallel, although in a more winding route, parallel with I-40 here. You can see that it goes around this hill, but then from a vantage point that I was at a little further back on that winding section, I could see that it curves back to the left, and the fact that it stays essentially parallel to I-40 suggests to me that it is likely that this is the old Lincoln Highway, because often these roads, when they were replaced by a newer version, that newer version was still built within sight of the original, especially in an area like this where the route of the road is pretty much determined by the major cities along the way that it's going to pass through. So there wouldn't typically be much reason to vary from the original route when it's basically just a big connect the dots, and a straight line is the quickest path. Modern engineering and equipment probably made it possible to make the line a little bit straighter, but I imagine they did as well as they could in the original version, so there wouldn't be much reason to alter the basic route of that original road. So this has been another episode of Wilderness Runner, even though there's no running in this one. Part of the channel is about running, the other part is about the wilderness and just exploring in general, interesting places and off the beaten path type of places. So I'm gonna put this out there in this video, something I haven't done before. I know that on YouTube, after you get to a certain subscriber count, you can monetize your channel in various ways. You can monetize it with ads, but actually even before that, with a lower subscriber count and a lower number of views, you can monetize it with merchandise, or maybe setting up a Patreon account or something like that. And I don't really believe in putting merchandise out there just for the sake of having more disposable products in the world. We have enough of them already. You know, I don't need my t-shirt to advertise for anything or say anything. And you don't need yours to either. If you like that, if you want that, that's cool. But I'm not sold on the idea of putting my logo on a shirt and selling it just for the sake of making money. So it's getting windy, and that's probably affecting the sound quality here. But that being what it is, I'd like to offer something a little bit different, and the reason I'm doing that, because I would love to develop this channel more, and maybe you would love to see the channel developed some more. Maybe you like seeing this type of content and seeing some hopefully interesting, sometimes very random parts of the USA or even beyond in the future. And of course, that's not free. There's a couple of things I can think of that could really upgrade the content that I'm able to provide on YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and put the QR code for my Venmo up on the end of this video. I hope that's allowed. But rather than setting up a brand new type of account or trying to sell you something that you don't need, or allowing Google to place advertisements that you don't really want to watch on my videos, which they might do anyways, because I've watched some of my videos on a different channel and they have advertisements on them even though I'm not monetized. I don't know what's up with that, but you know, if you think there's value in what you're seeing and what you hope to see out of this channel in the future, and you want to have a part in that, I'll put that link up. And a few of the things I can think of investing in, as far as cameras go, you know, I'm a big fan of starting with what you have, and what I have right now is a cell phone, but I could see this going really well with a 360 camera, So that's option number one, a GoPro or other type of head mount, chest mount type of camera, or a drone. I have a drone, but I decided at one point to experiment with having it follow me through a forest. And the forest won, so that drone does need new propellers at a minimum. And in order to really get good use out of any of those things, I think I need to invest in a laptop with some real storage and editing capabilities. And the last thing that could really benefit the channel and what I'm able to provide on the channel is dedicated time to invest specifically in this channel. All of these runs, walks, and hikes, all of the explorations that I'm doing, I'm usually doing as a means of taking a little break from my primary form of employment, which you can check out if you want on one of my other channels, which is called Send It Delivery Co. I'm self-employed and I deliver things all over the country. But anyways, I would love to spend time, spend energy, spend money creating content and going to destinations, intentionally selected destinations for this channel. But I'm not at a place to do that right now, and I am working on achieving that independently. But if you want to support any of those things happening sooner on this channel, I want to give you that option. And I say that without any expectations or assumptions about whether any of my viewers would want to do that. I do want to say up front, I greatly appreciate and love the people in my life who would want to do this just to support me. I don't want you to do it just to support me. I would want you to do this if it's something that you feel is an investment towards something that you want to see because it has value to you. So if you think that the videos that are coming now and the potential for the videos that could come with those investments are something that has value to you and you want to contribute to them for that reason, then this is what I'm doing to open up that option. And if you choose to do this, I would like you to vote for where you want your money to go, unless you genuinely just want it to go wherever I think is best. But when you donate, if you donate, or I should say if you make a voluntary contribution to the channel, because the line is a little blurry between donations and purchases. But when you pay for something, and this is what I hope, you're paying for something that has value to you and paying for something because it provides you with the value is kind of a purchase. That's what I would like it to be. But anyways, if you choose to send money for whatever reason, you choose to do it because you are a free person who can do whatever you want to do. If you would like to I won't know why I'm getting a deposit in my Venmo account unless there's some sort of note there. So if you want me to know that that money is coming in for this channel specifically, just put in that little for space, just put Wilderness Runner. Then I'll know that the money is intended for use for this channel. If you want to vote for something that you want to see me invest in, you can vote for it, and I'll make sure the money only goes to that, gets put in a fund specifically towards that. So again, the options I can think of are drone, 360 camera, GoPro, laptop for the purpose of editing, sorry, that's 4, or dedicated trips just for the purpose of creating content for this channel and no other reason. So put backroad, or put wilderness runner, put what you're wanting your money to go towards, and finally, if you want to be mentioned on the channel for whatever reason, put your name or your organization's name, your business's name, whatever you're making that contribution under. If you have a note or something that you want me to make public on the channel, if it's in honor of something or someone, whatever, put that in there too, and I'll be sure to mention you in a video, because if I do get any contributions here, I'm going to make sure to mention them in either the next upcoming video or whatever video ends up being made possible specifically by that contribution, or probably both. Because I do want to highlight, and recognize people who choose to do that, if you choose to do that, because it's not, I'm over the anonymous donation type of thing. I think that it's good to take ownership of the things we do in life, both the good and the bad. And so if you don't mind being recognized, being mentioned on the channel, that is valuable in my opinion. So anyways, thanks for watching another episode of Wilderness Runner. Just your view time, your subscription, if you have happened to subscribe, your likes, all that stuff helps to gradually grow this channel, gradually move it towards monetization, which is my goal, because I would love to be able to spend more time out doing stuff like this and making some content about it. So thanks for whatever, whether it's just watch time, whether it's whatever, and I hope that you get out and do whatever it is you would like to do as well. Like I mentioned, I'm doing this in a little 1 hour break in between, probably like 12 to 14 hours of driving today. And I know that for so many people, including myself, it feels extremely hard to find the time to do the things you want to do in life. It feels like there's always something requiring your attention, and some of those things are really valuable. I think, not to try to spend too much time on a tangent, but when it's loved ones, when it's human interactions with people who mean something to you, people who are close to you, when those things demand your time and attention, that is so valuable and important. But often the things that seem to be demanding our time and attention are tasks unrelated to, directly spending time with people we love or doing things that we love. And some of those tasks are necessary in order to, keep life moving forward, in order to make money, whatever it is, however you view life and what the obligations and opportunities and options are within it. But sometimes it really is just busy work, and it really is like, this isn't actually that important, but it can consume all your time and prevent you from doing those things you want to do. And so that's my other message with this channel is, no matter how busy you are, sometimes it's not just the busyness that is necessary or the busyness that moves us forward in life. It's the busyness of having a cluttered mind and not being able to break free of it long enough to go do something meaningful. It's self-medicating with, sometimes with YouTube, sometimes with social media or whatever else, obsessively watching other people live their lives through the content that they post. And my intention with posting content is kind of the opposite. I think there's some value in it. There's some value in giving a glimpse into what is out there in the world to be enjoyed. But I don't want to become someone who you can live vicariously through. I want to inspire others, if that's possible, to go do something that they feel, that you feel matters and is important to you. And it's a fine line, because I don't ever want to be preachy or tell other people they need to do more of any certain thing. And the truth is, I've spent a lot of hours, probably full days, months, maybe years of my life watching content on YouTube, and maybe some of it had a place and a value. Anyways, I'm not gonna say any more about that. Just something to think about, and just know that whoever you are watching this, I really hope that you are able to just accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish with your life. And I appreciate that your view time on this specific channel is helping me do that with mine. So thanks again, and catch you later. Let's put it this way, probably hundreds of hours of view time add up to pennies for me, and that's totally cool. If that's the way it is, that's totally cool. But if this meant something to you, I would rather for you and for me that you say, hey, that really mattered a lot to me. I liked what I heard. It inspired me to do something, and here's $5. Now I'm gonna go to the park and go for a walk or whatever, because $5 is a lot less valuable. And again, you don't have to send me anything at all, but just hypothetically here, $5 is a lot less valuable than an hour of your life, and it does a lot more towards this channel than that hour spent watching. I'd rather you spend 2 minutes watching and then go do something you love for an hour than spend an hour watching so that I can get a few pennies at some theoretical point in the future where I actually have enough watch hours to even be monetized in the first place. So that's how I'll put that. And honestly, if you're not gonna send me $5, I'd rather that you spend 2 minutes watching this channel and an hour doing something you love, and then you spend an hour watching the channel and no time doing something you love. Even if I lose a few pennies over it, your life, that hour of your life is worth more to me than the few pennies I would get from you spending an hour watching my channel. So that's how I feel about it. That's the opportunity that I'm putting out here. Do with it whatever you want. But again, thanks for whatever you're doing, and catch you later.